Okay, everybody, in this module and on this worksheet, we're going to start looking at some payroll practices. This will help you just as an employee to understand your own paycheck better and what's coming out and what should be coming out. But also, if you plan on ever going into like an HR type field, if you want to work in human resources, or I work at Panola. We have a person in the office who is specifically in charge of payroll. This kind of thing can help you understand more how to handle that. Most of this on this first page is pretty basic. I don't know what's going on with these lines on my worksheet, so just ignore those. But we're going to talk about prorating salary. Okay, it says an employee earns an annual salary. You see that word annual? That means yearly. So they have a yearly salary of $52,000, and they are paid semi-monthly. That means 2 times per month. What is the employee's gross pay per pay period? So if they have $52,000 and they're paid 2 times a month, what do they make on each paycheck? Now, if you look at your module, which you can probably figure this out, but your module actually tells you that semi-monthly pay means you get 24 paychecks per year. I know y'all are used to my terrible handwriting by now, but you get 24 paychecks per year. So this is very simple. If you have $52,000 in gross pay, we're just worried about gross pay right now. You're not having to worry about what would actually be on the paycheck that you would see. See, all we have to do is divide that by 24. Okay, so you just go to your calculator, you have 52,000, you divide that by 24 pay periods, and you see that you would get $2,166 and probably 67 cents on one and 66 on the other in the month. And that would be your pay every pay period for that amount of money. Okay, now we go to a question about overtime. There are laws that say if a person works more than 40 hours a week, then they have to be paid overtime. This is the maximum amount a person can work for regular pay. So if they make $18 an hour and they work 46 hours, we need to calculate their gross pay, including overtime. Now, overtime is equal to time, we say time and a half, or 1.5 of the pay that they make. So we have to kind of do this in 2 steps, because for the first 40 hours they're making $18 an hour. So let's multiply that out. Again, we don't have to factor any taxes or any of that. We're just looking for gross pay. 40 hours a week times 18 hours equals $720 in regular time pay. Okay, now we have to figure out what the overtime rate is for $18. And let's go through the steps, even though you can probably eyeball that. If you divide 18 by 2, because you need to figure out what half of it is, you get 9. If you add 18 and 9, you get 27. So their overtime rate is going to be equal to $27 an hour, okay? So they have 6 hours of overtime because they work 46 hours times the $27 an hour rate. And you see that comes to $162. Okay? So then all you do is take the regular time pay and the overtime pay and add those together, and that week their gross pay would be $882. Okay. Now we're going to look at differential piecework. This is kind of a different way to get paid, and it's discussed in your module. This is the kind of work that you might see if people work in a factory. If they're putting units together, they get paid per each thing they accomplish. This says a worker is paid 60 cents per unit for the first 400 units and 85 cents per unit for all the units above 400. Okay, because you'll see differential piecework work like that a lot. Like what they sort of expect the basic average employee to get done will be at a lower rate. And then if you're really sort of excelling, you can make a little bit more. Okay, so this person has made 650 units. So we know 400 of them is at the 60-cent rate. So we just take 400 and we multiply it by 60 cents. And we get $240. They made $240 for the first 400 units that they made. Now, everything over that, they're going to make 85 cents. So we see we have 650 made, and 400 are at the 60-cent rate. So we're going to have 250 at the 85-cent rate. So we have 250 units times 85 cents. And we see that that amount is $212.50. So you see how quickly you can start to make more money once you go over the basic rate if you're doing differential piece work. Because see, it's getting very close to the same amount for 250 units as it was for 400. So then all you do is add those two amounts together. And so for that week or time period or whatever they're talking about, they made $452.50, making the 650 units. Okay, we're going to look at one more thing, and this is a salary plus incremental commission. Some people work strictly on commission, which just means they get like a percentage of their sales or services. The percentage of the money they bring into the company is what they make. Most people who work on commission have a base salary because you're taking a big risk if you're only working on commission, because if you hit a month, say selling cars where you don't sell a single car, then that means $0 in your bank account that month. So this person has a base salary of $4,000 a month. That means they make $4,000 a month because they showed up at work. That's given. That's assumed. They're always going to make that. Their commission comes on top of that, okay? And they have sort of a stacked commission rate. They make more commission the higher their sales are, okay? And you see this. They make 3% on the first 40,000. They make 5% on the next 20, and 7 on anything that goes above 60,000. And we see they made $95,000 in sales, so they're going to hit all three of these, okay? So we just have to figure out how to break that down. We have to figure it at every level. So obviously they made everything they could on the 3% because they have 40,000 times 0.03. And that total is $1,200. That's how much they made on the most basic commission rate. And then we know they've got all $20,000 of these, 20,000 of these dollars too at the 5% rate. Times, you have 20,000 times 0.05, and that's another $1,000 they have made. And now we see if they made 95 and we've already gotten them to 60, then they have $35,000 worth of sales at the 7% rate. Okay? So they have 35,000 times 0.07 equals. On that bit, they made $2,450 in commission. So now what we need to add up is all of their commissions, which is going to give us $4,650. But don't forget, you have to add the base salary that they make to that. So in this 1 month, this person kind of had it going on. They made $8,650 with their base salary plus their commission at each rate. Okay, guys, that's all there is to this worksheet. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.